All right. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for attending our February Smoke Free SC virtual roundtable. We're excited to have all of you here. Excited to hear from Tobacco Free Kids about National Takedown Tobacco Day. And then we're going to share an activity that we're doing for Takedown Tobacco Day with Smoke Free SC. And if any of you are interested in joining us for that event, we're going to be excited to have you. I do have a legislative update from Beth Johnson from ACS CAN. She's unable to join us at the meeting this morning, but she sent me an email with some notes that I'm going to read to us. So there is a bill at the State House. It's Bill H.4817. It's a vape bill that demands, and she has demands in quotation marks, proof of ID and allows vending machines where they were previously used to continue use, is moving through the House and Senate, and will likely make crossover day and head to the governor to sign. This bill is being described as a cleanup bill to unintended consequences from the preemption bill that passed last year. They are monitoring this bill to see if additional preemption language could be added. There's another bill, H.994, and it creates a product registry and is strongly supported by the tobacco industry. The Public Health Law Center has a white page that they've created on that bill. I'm going to share that link in the chat bar. This is being supported by leadership in the House and the Senate. National partners oppose the bill because it will make lawmakers appear as if they are doing good when we have no evidence that this bill will impact prevention and control. We are monitoring at the present time because all leadership supports and the bill is moving quickly. It will likely pass this session. So I'm going to put that link in the chat bar to the Public Health Law Center's white page on this bill. All right, so
Does Beth suggest any particular action right now?
she didn't give action points yet. Let me go back to the email. All right, next bullet point. Smoke-free community work is still a top priority, and there's a coalition in Greer, a coalition in the Low Country, covering several counties between Charleston and Orangeburg. So if you're interested in working with those coalitions, the one either in Greer, which is in the upper part of the country, upper part of the state, or the Low Country, just reach out to us and we can get you in contact with those coalitions. And then our next bullet point, the state legislative ask for the JUUL payments coming to South Carolina did not make the first cut of the House budget, but we will continue to ask for JUUL payments to South Carolina to be used for tobacco prevention and control. The money is currently sitting in an attorney general account and goes into the state general fund. The total that South Carolina will receive from those JUUL settlement is a little over $11 million. And then there is a political action committee that is trying to split the Black vote in South Carolina by producing media content related to Biden harming the Black community by supporting FDA's rule on menthol products. That's just a little blurb. We don't have action points on that yet, but I can reach out and share those action points. And I know sometimes reading things, it's kind of hard for processing to happen. Would y'all like me to copy those bullet points and put them in the chat bar as well, so you can have them to take with you?
Yeah, especially the bill numbers. Yeah.
Right, exactly. Well, let me copy that really quickly and I'll put it in the chat so y'all can have those up there.
That last bullet point is kind of interesting because Tara saw an opinion piece in a newspaper called Upstate Panorama, which is a Black-owned newspaper. It targeted towards the Black audience. That said that exact thing, is that a menthol ban would be harmful to the Black community because it would take away jobs. And this guy is a farmer, and he talks about tobacco use. It was an interesting article. I know I'm sure it was written for him, but it had 4 points that he said. Let me go get it real quick.
Has anyone in the meeting heard of that newspaper? Up the one I live in the upstate, so mine was Upstate Panorama, and
Yeah.
it is positive news that's being shared. And I was at a restaurant, and I just happened to pick it up to flip through it, and one of the articles in the middle was about opposing the menthol ban, but I hadn't heard of this paper before.
Um, yeah, it said that the ban will disproportionately impact African Americans. The menthol cigarette ban will take sales out of stores and into the streets, which is something we've all heard a lot about. The illegal market will make law enforcement enforce a ban, and it'll lead to fines, arrest, and incarceration. And then menthol cigarette bans may force neighborhood stores to close because they depend on selling tobacco.
Oh my.
And when Tara showed me this yesterday, I said to her I was going to send it to Beth and just see if we shouldn't put an opinion piece in from one of our board members, stating, the opposite view of what a menthol ban will do for the Black community. So
how many lives it'll save.
yeah. Yeah, they
And
didn't mention
and
that, Kelly.
it's not targeted towards individuals buying, menthol cigarettes. It's targeted towards the companies that will sell them. But yeah, I think that'd be great.
And the man who wrote this opinion piece is named Moses Gibson, and he lives in Blythewood.
Oh,
And it says he served in Richland County government in various capacities for 20 years, but I don't, I don't live in Blythewood, but the name didn't ring a bell to me. So anyway,
I'll have to Google it. Yeah.
yeah.
Interesting.
I think we got enough stuff that we probably should send out a follow-up email with the information in it, and we'll put a copy of the article in the email too.
Will do. Any other questions or comments about those legislative bullets before we get to our guest speaker? All right, great. Well, we're excited to welcome back Nicholas from the Campaign for Tobacco-Free Kids. He joined us last year when we were talking about National Day of Action. Last year, we were late to getting him to come speak, so I don't think he spoke until maybe the day before National Day of Action, so not really a lot of time to plan any events. But hopefully this year we're getting him early so he can talk about what it is, different types of events, how to register events, and things like that. So we're excited to have him again, and I'll pass it over to him to let him introduce himself and start the presentation.
Yeah, of course. Thanks, Tara. And it could be one day before, 1 month before, a year before. I think it'll still be effective and happy to be here. Thank you for having me, everyone. Like Tara mentioned, my name is Nicolas Suarez. I work with the Campaign for Tobacco-Free Kids as a program associate for the youth advocacy team here at the organization. And I'm here to talk about the Take Down Tobacco National Day of Action. So our National Day of Action this year is scheduled for April 1st, and we are using the same theme as last year, where we are calling out big tobacco for the jokers they really are. So on our Day of Action, youth advocates and their communities and organizations and coalitions like yourselves come together to stand up to big tobacco and expose the tricks this industry has used to lure kids into addiction and really call for change. And this year, the stakes could not be higher, right? Something that has changed significantly from last year is that this year we are on the cusp of ending the sale of menthol cigarettes and flavored cigars, which is a monumental step to address health inequity and curtail the tobacco industry's targeting of kids and Black Americans. So communities across the country are moving to end the sale of flavored e-cigarettes that are fueling the youth nicotine crisis. So I think for today, I'll just take a couple minutes and walk through the website, provide you guys some activity ideas, how you can register your event, like Tara mentioned, and a couple more resources we have available to make sure you all feel empowered, elevated, and on our end, we can amplify the work that you all do come April 1st. So I'm going to share my screen. And Tara, can you give me a thumbs up if you can see this? Awesome. Thank you. So this is our main website, takedowntobacco.org/day of action. And here it says, of course, our day of action is on April 1st. And there are three main ways you can get involved. You can either, one, host an event, which we love, and I encourage you all to do so, whether in your youth organization, by yourself, with the youth that are close to you. Hosting an event is the best way to really raise awareness of the issue that we are facing in our communities, and encourages youth to not only reject the tobacco industry's deceptive marketing tactics, but also it's a great first step to having youth getting involved in the tobacco control movement in the first place and becoming advocates in this space, and then consequentially becoming advocates in general for whatever they want to pursue. I got my start when I was a youth advocate with TDT, Day of Action event. It used to be called Kick Butts Day back in the day. So it's a really, really useful way and really innovative way to get youth involved. The second way you can do, of course, is to share on social media. Social media is huge now. And we have our hashtag #TakedownTobacco. So if you tag us on Instagram, Facebook, X, or TikTok, that's an easy lift. And the third way, of course, is writing your legislator. We have our advocacy action map that we're currently updating for ways to make your voice heard in important advocacy moments across the country. So our map and resources really showcases local and national actions you can take. Tara, I think, would be the one to go to for the specific South Carolina actions like she was mentioning with the updates. But we want to make sure we provide you resources on our TDT page in order for you all to feel empowered to do so. And just a quick highlight, if you share your events or whatever it may be on social media, make sure to use the hashtag #TakedownTobacco. This is a Powerwall social media feed that we had on 2023. We'll be doing it again 2024. And of course, we would love to spotlight you on our websites on the work that you all will be doing and have been doing. So I think the best way to do this is we'll go through each one of these. So one real quick conversation we should have is the key issues that we're tackling. And I briefly mentioned it, right? Big tobacco goes with that being said. But our policy priorities include a number really focused on eliminating flavored tobacco sales. So these include flavored e-cigarettes, menthol cigarettes, flavored cigars, and more, right? These are the issues that we have seen nationwide. And these are the issues that I can assume that we are seeing in South Carolina as well. So when we talk about hosting a day of action, if you click on this link here, you'll be brought to the Plan Your Day of Action event page, right? And the Plan Your Day of Action event page really has must-have tools for your events. These include an advocacy action map QR code poster. So this poster really brings you to our advocacy action map, which I'll show you in a little bit. And that is a page which allows for activation on the local, national level. Giant sign-on posters for elected leaders. So this is where you can collect signatures on this poster to showcase at your events. And you can consider delivering to local policymakers or taking a photo and posting it with the hashtag #TakedownTobacco. Postcards, these are really handy, really useful. We've seen these used a lot. If you want to write directly to your elected leaders, you can use these postcards. It's got really handy information on the way big tobacco has for years deceptively marketed towards youth and disenfranchised communities. And some activity ideas at the bottom, right? I am a huge fan of not reinventing the wheel if you don't have to and if you don't want to, right? There have been countless activities that have been done throughout the years, and these are just some examples of that you can retool for your own. So this includes a funeral or celebration of life where you acknowledge the devastating toll of tobacco, an art poetry contest, outperforming the Joker. So this is like a talent show, or you can hold a roast, a zombie walk. You can meme the Joker. You can do a Jeopardy game. What's in the Babe Clouds? That's where you really look in the specifics of why people think e-cigarettes are harmless and what's the reality of it. And so many more, right? We want to make sure we provide you with as many activity ideas as possible. Moving forward, if you are ready to register your event, we highly encourage you to do so on our website. By registering your event, you empower us, the campaign, to really spotlight, highlight, and reach out to you all individually to see how we can best support. And there's still time for this, but the first 200 people to register, the first 200 groups to register, will receive free activity event kits to use at your event. And these event activity kits actually include a number of things like the deck of cards for the Joker Takedown game and also theme that we're using for the National Day of Action, an exhibit size vinyl banner, 2 signs with the QR code directly to our advocacy action map, 2 foldable rally posters, and the postcards that we've mentioned before. All that comes included if you're one of the first 200 groups to register. And registering is super easy, right? You can just include the event coordinator contact information, the event details, agree to the terms, and then submit. And then it'll be on us and it'll be our job to reach out to all of you and make sure you feel best supported. And then finally, I just want to highlight some additional resources. We do have posters, banners, social media graphics. You can just download directly from our website, some fact sheets, postcards, and so much more. And of course, merchandise if you're looking for some tangible things you can give away at an or at a rally if you're interested. And at the bottom of this page, we have tips and fact sheets. So the top tobacco facts, tips for writing jokes if you want to do a roast, something that we did during COVID times, trivia questions, a media advisory template, and more, right? So I highly encourage each and every one of you, when you have a moment, check out the website. I'll make sure to send these links to Tara so we can get that out to all of you. But I'm happy to answer any questions. I think I'll just finish off by saying, here at the Campaign for Tobacco-Free Kids, we have multiple ways youth engage, but there's a consensus that along with our training program, the most accessible way for youth to take the first step and get their foot through the door is a National Day of Action. So I highly encourage you all, use the youth in your coalition, encourage them to implement an activity, and have them involved in that decision-making process and the formation of the activity, because then you're going to have authentic youth engagement throughout this entire project and more so in the future. But happy to answer any questions.
Yeah, I have one. Nicholas, thanks for all your work and informative presentation. The posters, the files that the posters, are they, like, the size in terms of bits that you can print them like 11 by 17 size and they'll be nice and crisp?
Yeah, they will be nice and crisp. So we have 8.5 by 11, 11 by 17, and 24 by 36. So the different
Okay.
dimensions to make
All
sure
right.
how big you want it or how small you want.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And other question is, you mentioned Jeopardy. I'm a Jeopardy fan. Is there a template for that, or do you, what's the tool like for the Jeopardy event?
Great question. So we encourage you all to use like programs like Kahoot or JeopardyLabs.com. Those are free platforms for creative interactive quiz games. Or if you want to do it in person, like a good old-fashioned Jeopardy, we have some examples of trivia questions at the bottom of the resources page. This is what that document looks like, right? These are just some examples you can use for the Jeopardy questions.
Okay.
And highly
Yeah.
encourage, by the way, South Carolina, your own communities, districts, if you want to tailor it to be more localized, go for it, right? Run with it.
All right.
Thanks, Dave. Any other questions? Great. Looks like I've done my job well.
Do we
So
have youth like youth groups? What's the program that our youth are involved throughout the state? Is there something, is that a thing?
So I don't think we have a statewide youth program, if that's what you're talking about,
Yes.
Kelly. We've learned from DHEC that there used to be one, but we don't have one currently. We do work with some groups around the state who work with youth. So like Just Say Something in Greer, they work with youth. There's a youth group in Chester County through their Echo Coalition. And then there are other, just
Yeah,
youth.
we have All on Board in
Yes,
York
All on
County.
Board has theirs in
Mhm.
York
Okay.
County. So there's not one throughout the entire state, but there are multiple around the state.
Okay. And do you promote this for college age, or is it mostly under 18 and like high school age? I can't remember.
Yeah, great question. Everyone, right? Want to make
Everyone.
sure that
Okay.
everyone's as involved as possible. You can be young people, young adults, adults like ourselves. Just get
Yeah.
involved.
The more the merrier.
The more the merrier. And something I forgot to show, and apologies. This is the advocacy action map. It's at the bottom of our key issues page. Um, Although South Carolina isn't highlighted at the moment, there is a nationwide ask that you can do, which is tell the White House to support eliminating menthol cigarettes and flavored cigars. This is a very consequential and turning point moment in this fight. So really to encourage in the work that you do to plug in this national ask if you see fit and appropriate. And this will lead you to our Take Action page on our other website, where you can sign a petition and actually sign the letter and write a letter to the White House directly and personalize it. Any other questions? Great. I think with that, I'll pass it back to you, Tara. Thank you all so much for having me on, and I will make sure I'll drop my email in the chat. If you all want to reach out individually, feel free. Don't be a stranger. Thank you.
Thank you again for coming to talk to us and answer those questions and let us know how we can get involved.
Of course. Thank you for having me.
So now I'll talk about an event that Smoke Free SC has planned for National Day of Action, which is April 1st. So we put it in our e-newsletter. I'm not sure if everyone saw or not, but we've started a new initiative where we are providing vape disposal kits to schools throughout the state. They are plastic bins. They're meant for battery disposal, but we're using them for vape disposal. And schools can keep the bin in an administrator's office or in another designated area that youth can't access. And it's just a safer place for them to store confiscated vapes. The majority of schools or principals I've spoken to just say they keep them in grocery bags or in their desk drawers, or they just throw them away when they get them, which we know we're not supposed to do. That's not the proper way to dispose of those devices, but our schools need help. So we're trying to help them with these disposal kits. There's no cost for the kit. We can have it delivered. And once the kit is full, the school just needs to reach out to us either by email or phone to request the confiscated devices get picked up. We will come pick them up, and then we'll take them to where they can properly be disposed. The kits are just housed at our office. So if you guys have any connects with schools who are interested in getting a vape disposal kit, you can reach out to Barbara or me, and we'll take care of, getting in contact with them and handling that. But our event focuses around hopefully the confiscated vapes that we're going to be picking up in the last week of March. So we have a day of advocacy planned at the South Carolina State House on April 1st, where we are going to bring together some of our college volunteer students we have. We would love to have high school students there as well. But like I said, we don't work directly with high school students. So we're probably going to be reaching out maybe to some of you who do, to see if your students would be able to join us. It is a Monday, but for a lot of students in South Carolina, that's spring break week, which also could be potentially problematic if they're out of town. But if they are in town and they were looking to get involved, we are still planning that day of action at the State House focused around that number of confiscated vapes that we're going to be receiving from schools that last week of March. So details are still being worked out. We're excited about it. It's a new event. We've never done anything like this, and we've never done vape disposal kits before, but we're excited to see how they are received by the schools. Any questions or comments about that?
Make sure to register the event.
I will. I
Yeah.
I was like, oh, I probably should do that when you were doing your presentation. So
No,
I'll do
you get
that.
the free event activity kit. Hopefully it'll help provide some more resources.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
It's great.
I did register, so we should be
Oh,
fine.
great.
Oh,
Thanks,
I love
Barbara.
it. Great, Barbara. Thank you.
Yeah. And I know that a couple of ours, I know Just Say Something is doing a Takedown Tobacco event in their area. So I encourage anybody who's doing it in their area to definitely register it. We will be using the USC students. They have a couple of tabling events in the month before, so we're going to send the big posters with them to get signatures on them, and then hopefully have some of them speak to the press on that day.
Yeah, Tara, we're trying, we want to get the drug, the bags for disposal, going in our high
So
schools and
yours are actually being delivered today.
oh,
One of our volunteers is meeting. I should have told you, but I just planned it like at 5:30 last night, so I didn't want to bother you then. But Lainey, one of our volunteers, is meeting with Erin to give her some kits.
oh, good. I knew Aaron was on it. Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, yeah, no problem.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm happy to reach out to my kids, Indian Land, or our school district too, if you're not involved with them. And I will send them information on doing an event. I hosted tons of these way back in the day. So very familiar with what they can do, and they can be inexpensive and they can be expensive. It just depends on what you want to do. I wanted to share something though, that I was on a trip recently with some friends that are about 10 years younger than me, in like their early 30s, and we were talking about the menthol ban. And they were like, I don't understand why it's important. They've targeted everybody. It's not a big deal. I still think there's so much lack of education of why this is so key. Even people, adult age, not understanding why. So I think anytime that we can do more to highlight the impact it's had on the Black community and why this is so key, is important, because we know we get it because we work in this. This is all I've known, but lots of people don't understand why this is so important, to change. But anyways, Tara, let me know if I can do if there is no contact there. I'd be happy to reach out to the school district we're in.
Yeah, that'd be great. I don't have any connections at Indian
Okay.
Land, so we can share vape disposal kits or vape talk or both.
Yeah, you could, the DHEC team has a person in Lancaster County that you might want to connect with who does community outreach and maybe could help you, Kelly. I'm trying to think who that is right now. It was um, Stevie Michelli. Um, I can put her email in the chat and you could contact her.
Okay, that'd be great. Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, thank you all so much, Tara. I have to hop off, but really do appreciate you all, and feel free to reach out if you have any questions.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you, Nicholas.
Tara, this is Evita. I have a question.
Yes.
I'm sure maybe some information out there, but I'm just not aware of it. What is the percentage of African Americans, teens, probably say 18 and under, that vape
In South Carolina, or do you want
in
national?
South Carolina? Yeah, South Carolina and national both be kind of beneficial.
Okay, I can find that out. It's on our the 2021 Youth Tobacco Survey results. I just have to go dig for those. Not
Yeah.
dig. I just have to go to a folder and get those results, and I can go to the demographics and ethnicity page, and then I can send that to you if you don't mind. Unless
Yeah,
anyone
that'll be
knows it off
fine.
the top of their
Yeah.
head.
Yeah. You may want to include sometimes for kids of color, the flavored small cigars are more popular than vapes. Vapes can be a little more cost prohibitive. So you might want to
That was
get
my
that.
thinking. That
Yeah,
was my thinking. I don't know if it's that popular, the actual vaping mechanism to have to purchase, like you said, the cigars or the cigarettes themselves, but I don't know how popular vaping is in the Black community
yeah,
for the teens and younger. So that's just interesting question that came across for me.
Yeah.
yeah.
Vita,
So I
according
pulled-
to the 2021 tobacco survey, youth tobacco survey, it looks like 14.8% of Black students use e-cigarettes and 4.8% use cigars. So
Really?
yeah, and then so overall, any tobacco product is 20. It says on here is 27.4 white, 19.6 Black, and 25.4 Hispanic.
Interesting.
I think that data is weighted, so that
Yeah.
it is supposed to be applicable, in all the regions of the country. But the South, economically we're in a different kind of tier that could be making a difference compared to those national statistics.
Yeah, so is there anything statewide for South Carolina
That
with those
the
that type of
numbers that
data?
I gave you were for South Carolina. That was the
Oh,
South
okay.
Carolina Youth Tobacco Survey.
I pulled it up and I can share my screen if we want. I
That
think
was also pre-COVID, so it'd be interesting to see what happened with the you know black kids during COVID, whether they turned to vaping.
Well, I'm wondering too, if some of them get it from their parents because parents still don't see that it's an issue or, that it's as dangerous. That's, some of the stories I've heard from even my own children is that their parents have, shared their vaping or, done that, introduced them to it. So, I don't know if that's the reasoning either, but which is just scary.
It just makes me curious to now to go sit and watch vape stores and see what the general population looks like entering those stores. I had a different view of that. I didn't see a lot of African American actually participating in vape. I know they did cigarettes greatly, but not vaping itself. So it would be interesting. And I'm sure, as Dave was saying, the demographic areas may be a little skewed based on the area that you're in. Columbia area and the upstates area are a little more economically more stable than you would have in the low countries or down in the PD area. So I was just kind of curious on what that data looked like. So is there anything that breaks it down in regions in South Carolina, or is it just statewide?
I believe it's just statewide, Avita, although you could
Okay.
probably, I think because they have such, and any DHEC person who wants to speak up for this can certainly do that, but I think that their sample size is so small that they probably couldn't do it by region.
Gotcha.
I
Okay.
do know that in my talks with Sharon recently that they're having a lot of problems this year getting schools to participate in the youth tobacco survey. And so, if they don't have schools participating, they don't get the data.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks.
Evita, to answer your question about where they're getting them from, I can share my screen again because that's a question they ask on the survey. So you can see right here of those surveyed, 23.8% bought in a gas station or convenience store, 20.5 from a vape shop, 11.7 from family, 42.6 from friends.
Mm.
I do know that my children, their friends would get vapes through social media. They would drive to meet people who would sell them to them. So it was quite the market there for a while.
Wow. Okay, Tara, could you send me that information? I'm on my phone because I'm still having my knee elevated, so I can't get on my computer right now, and it's kind of hard to see.
No problem. I put the link in the chat, but I can also email
Okay.
it to you if you'd like.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Of course. Any other questions, comments, or things anyone in the meeting would like to share? What's going on in your area if we need to know anything?
I want to echo what Ava put in the chat, that the recent survey of 7th, 9th, and 11th graders done by All on Board here in York County continued to show that kids don't think that vapes are dangerous, and that's peer information that does make it easier for kids to start up, and they the peer acceptance and the perception that vaping is not at all wrong or just a little bit wrong.
I think it's interesting that when they get started, I think, and then they become addicted to it, I think that they at that point realize hey, it wasn't as there, it is more dangerous than what everybody's told me. And that's why you see pretty high numbers of kids that want to quit. But at that point, they're already addicted to it. So.
Yeah.
I will say that with our vape disposal kits that we are going to, when we pick them up, do some data collection on what we're finding, like what are the popular brands, what are the popular flavors by middle and high school. And then we'll put that information out on our website. We were trying to see how it differs from the INS tracker data that DHEC has, you know, the Nielsen scans that they do. They still show the #1 product in South Carolina being Juul. But when we look at what we've received from kids, Juul's not in there. So, you know, these vape disposal kits that we're getting back products, where Elf Bar is by far the most popular product. So, but we'll have that as we start collecting them. We'll have more data and it'll be out there on that web page, which is Vape Free South Carolina. It's part of our website, but it's a special page. So it'll allow you to request a kit. It'll allow you to ask us to retrieve the products, and then we'll have data out there.
And I was just thinking, every year during this season of prom time, the schools put on this big performance that is usually taken outside on the football field, where they show the impact of drinking and driving. And yes, is any way that there's something we can come up with that would be like an annual thing as well in the school systems that we could probably present to them to use to show the impact of smoking or vaping? I just thought about this because it's that season now, and I mean they really go all out in the schools to do it. I remember being a part of one of them where they actually have the kids enact with blood all over them on top of cars where they've wrecked the cars. I mean, a huge performance. So is it something that we can do like that to show the impact smoking that it has, both emotionally, mentally, and physically, for the kids at that age? So I don't know, that I think that would be something that's, because you know we hit them with visuals and they really see the impact of it, as opposed to a lot of just a conversation. Is there any way we can kind of tap into that or that realm and present it to the schools to see, you know, if they want to do a buy-in with that? I think that'll have a great impact on the kids to actually see the impact of it, since we're hearing that they don't believe that it's, you know, dangerous to them. So we need to show them ways that it is.
I know that, you know, Smoke Free SC, Tobacco Free York County Coalition, our partners up in Greer, Just Say Something, Chester, we all have different versions of our presentation that we give on the dangers associated with vaping and nicotine use, Evita. So I think just promoting those educational resources that we have to our schools, you know, it's a mangled car has a big impact visually. But with vaping, we still don't know that much about it. You know, you can do your healthy lungs, black lungs, those types of visual aids as well. But in terms of visual aids, to my knowledge, I don't have that many great ones associated with vaping. But I think and we know from studies and from research that just sharing those health impacts, talking about, you know, how vaping harms your brain health, your heart health, your lung health, your skin, your mouth, like just the health effects associated with vaping usually has a better effect on youth. So I
think hearing from their peers.
Yes.
You know, it's one thing to have Tara or somebody, you know, my age standing up there and talking. It's a different thing to hear it from your peers. And so having speakers either who have participated in a program like, you know, All Aboard, or, you know, and coming and speaking to a high school and talking about the damage that vaping did to their lives. Luca Keinert at our 2019 conference really, you know, really hit home on how bad it is for a teen who basically just wanted to be popular in high school and, you know, started smoking through that. And then the impact that it had on his life and how hard it was to quit. I think that teens speaking to teens helps a lot if we have them available. I know we're trying to find a teen to come to our conference again. Luca's, I think, about 22 now, but we wanted to have somebody who had been, when he started vaping, he was 15 or 16 and he quit at that point. And we're looking to have somebody who's been impacted in recent years to come speak.
Barbara, there's, I don't know if you caught it, but ABC, Good Morning America had a 2-day thing on vaping, and they had some high school kids that were going into elementary schools and talking to kids, high school kids that had been hooked on vaping and quit. I wonder, maybe through Parents Against Vaping or ABC, maybe you could find out who that where that school was, and maybe they could zoom in or something. Anyway, just a thought. But it was, I think, about a week or 10 days ago was the two pieces. They're about maybe 5-minute pieces.
Great, thank you, Dave.
Yeah, and I will just say on some of the impact of just visuals, years ago, we would buy from the like party stores, like the tombstones. And I did this at a junior college that was in my county, and you put so many tombstones out. I mean, of course I had money in my grant to spend. It wasn't super expensive though, and put like different ways you could die of tobacco use. I think in Mississippi, it was every day 13 people die of smoking. So we put that number in a sign. In the past, they've done body bags of how many people die every day within your state. And the zombie thing he talked about is people walking around with that number on their head and where they look like they've died. I mean, these are pretty graphic, but in your face kind of ways too of bringing it, and you'd have to get a school on board. But I know those are some of the ways that they have done it. Or shoes. I know that's been a thing done at the Capitol. They take so many shoes of, I think 552 people die every year of secondhand smoke in Mississippi. So they took a bunch of shoes and laid them out to kind of give that impact of how many lives are lost. So those are kind of impactful ways if you could do visually and get a school on board. And they could be creative. And I don't know if schools do any kind of, wellness, sometimes wellness teachers or health and wellness, they do extra things with certain youth or advocates or around health and wellness, and could make this an initiative for them for volunteer points or something like that. Again, I've worked with schools who've had those kind of capacities as well, but it might be different here.
Good ideas.
Thank you, Kelly.
Any other questions or comments or things you'd like to share?
Well, we do tabling, I guess in light of what was said about maybe some kind of, event. We table where people are already gathering and where we likely can interact with parents and or youth. So that, that's one, and we have, Tara knows we have a visual with cigarettes in a glass box that show the amount of nicotine in certain vapes compared to or equivalent to the same number of cigarettes smoked. That's usually gets people's attention. So, if you have something eye-catching to get people to your table, and then can interact with them, that's the idea, being that we go where people are already going to be gathered rather than try to sponsor an event and get people to come to our event.
Well, if there's nothing else, we can go ahead and end this meeting. It was recorded, so it will be posted to our website next week. You can share it, rewatch it if you need to. Thanks for joining. Our next meeting is the 4th Monday in March, which is March 22nd. So we'll post our speaker and registration link for that soon. We will send out more details about what we talked about at the beginning of the meeting, those legislative updates, that article, if we find any follow-up, or if we're looking for people to draft a response. Yes, Dr. Keeley?
Yeah, I have a question for Helen.
Yeah.
I've tried to get the rack cards for the tobacco-free quit line, and are they being redone or something? They're unavailable on the materials library web page. Can you tell me what's going on?
Sure, Dr. Keeley, that's a great question. That is actually Dr. Katie Wynn's content area because
Right.
she's the cessation manager, but we were talking about this in our staff meeting yesterday, and the division did not know until recently that the rack cards are completely out of stock. Unfortunately, the materials library at DHEC did not let us know that. And so Katie is aware of it, and Catherine Warner, who's our communications outreach coordinator. And so they are working on that because that is one of the most popular quit line items. And we know that, it's to be used with healthcare professionals and providers, but we know that they're also used elsewhere in the community. So if you would just send Katie Wynn a quick email,
Okay.
just that you would like some and how many,
Okay.
they are working on that issue. So thank you for
Oh,
that
excellent.
question.
Great. That's great to hear. Thanks for that timely update. Great.
Sure.
All
Thank
right.
you.
And Dave, if you need some immediately, I know I have some. They're not their newest, but they still have the same information. It's in Spanish on one side and English on the other. So if you need us to mail you some, in the meantime, we've got some. Not a whole bunch, but I've got some.
Okay. Well, if you want to send me some, like 100, a pack of 100 for now, then, because you'll want to get the updated ones. The updated ones are nice. Yeah.
Yeah. I'll send them to you, Dave.
Okay.
All right. Thanks, everyone. We'll see you all next month.